I want big fella to be out there. I feel like he listens to me. Sometimes, he kind of ignores Spo. But I banked so much equity with him. Throughout the summer, him getting up with me in the 6 a.m.s and through all the pickup we done played, like he listens. He wants to learn. He wants to be out there. Obviously, he's got to earn his minutes. But when he's out there with me, I feel like he's definitely gets better.
The minutes might be up for you. You might get to play with Bam more. How did it feel out there? How did it feel playing alongside Bam so much?
I mean, it felt good. I felt like the days when I've played alongside him recently. So I mean, yeah, it felt good.
How much you play the these final 6 weeks? I know some of it's based on matchups, but how much you hope in series?
I mean, I feel like it's the best. I feel like for the team with some matchups, like tonight. So whenever the matchup is needed for it, I feel like we can go to it. And so yeah, whenever it's needed.
Bam was kidding. He was saying, Kel'el might not always listen to Spo, but he listens to me. What's that relationship like with Bam?
I mean, yeah, it's like a brotherhood. He's been through, this before, been through, the coaching of Spo before. So, just listening to him, because he's a player also. He's in the game with me. He's going through the exact same thing I'm going through. So, yeah.
Well, your reaction to Wiggins, he takes the cut. He has to go back in the locker room, and then he comes back as a big play in the fourth quarter, steal and one. What did you just make of like that mentality, being able to fight through that, come up with a big play for you guys?
I mean, yeah, that just shows you somebody that want to, get the win. He came back out, competed, and wanted to make sure, he finished the game out with us to, make sure he secured it up.
I don't think I did.
No, you didn't. You had a.
I might have faked it. Though.
This team, when you look at the games in Milwaukee and Philly, honestly, the other teams had big runs. You seem like you stepped up and said, like, enough of that. What was the difference in closing time for you guys tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you can hear we're passionate. These guys are still talking about it, but we got stops on defense. I think we're flying around in that zone, just covering for each other. And then on offense, it was we both had bonus, so we just got straight to it, to the paint, and got easy free throws or layups.
This is not the first team to put a center on you, and obviously when Şengün's on you, you're used a lot as a screener, but you also seem to pretty early on want to be pretty aggressive and go right at him. What was your approach when you saw that matchup?
Yeah, those two things. I mean, that's what we were talking about. Like, just be. I'm always going to be available because he's shrinking in, so I'm always an outlet for guys. And then when I get it, just be ready to make a play downhill, shoot it, or be a screener like I was for Tyler in that first half.
Such great lob chemistry with Kel'el Ware. Where does that come from? And do you feel like it's getting even better? It feels like you guys have a highlight every game.
It's just easy when you play with him. Like, honestly, I mean, I've been realized it very early when we played in Summer League 2 years ago. It's just easy. I can kind of just throw it wherever, and he usually makes me look good.
What did you like about the dynamic of closing the game with you guys today?
I loved it. I mean, rebounding is like their biggest strength, Houston, and Kel'el, he's 7 feet, super athlete, so he helps us with that, and he did a great job.
Tyler, after the games in Milwaukee and Philly, when you guys just couldn't close and couldn't score late, did you guys take something from that you have to be better as a team late, and what was the difference late today when they got within 3 and you found a way to hold them off?
I think, first of all, we weren't crawling from behind. I feel like in Philly, we dug ourselves a hole. Tonight, we were playing with a lead, which everyone wants to play with a lead. We slowed the ball up a little bit in the last 3 minutes, got the ball in good spots for Pelle, for Bam, which they had advantages, and we were able to exploit that a little bit. And then we were able to make plays defensively, getting stops in the zone, and forcing them to tough, contested shots, and then rebounding. Did a good job on the boards.
There was a thought, okay, Norm's out, Tyler has to take a lot of shots and score a lot. Instead, you had a very measured and efficient 8 of 12 night from the field. Did you sort of feel just in your comfort zone that you were taking the right shots and didn't have to force?
Just letting the game come to me. That's very small-minded to think I have to come and shoot every shot, and like that's not effective. It doesn't win games, and I know that. So just come in, let the game come to me, make the right play. Obviously, Houston Thompson's a great defender. He was on me all night, and it's respect both ways, and you just compete and try to make winning plays. It doesn't necessarily need to be scoring every single night.
I know a lot of teams have been trying to junk things up, put centers on Pelle or Jaime. You guys obviously got a lot of Pelle tonight, but what were you able to do to take advantage of having Şengün on him?
Yeah, Pelle's we've seen what he's done, in the last couple months, how much he's grown. He's a very heady, smart IQ guy. And being able to have him in the actions with Şengün where he's picking and popping, either switch, so we get the switch on Şengün, or we play in that pocket, throw it back to Pelle, and then we kind of get to our game from there. He made some big plays down the stretch, but all game he was just making the right play after right play. He came out really aggressive.
What led to the verbal back and forth between you and KD?
Nothing crazy. I know Kev a little bit. Just competing. I feel like as a team we didn't have an edge to us in Milwaukee or Philly, so I was just trying to bring a little edge to it.
Did you feel like it worked?
We won. The team responded. So we were down 14-4 at the time, I believe. Was able to just get some fire going. Feel like we're at our best when we got guys in here that are on edge.
It's sort of a mentality when, what happens? I don't know what happens in the game, stays in the game. Because obviously you and KD embrace after the game. So it's sort of what happens,
Yeah, we're competing at the end of the day. He was saying I couldn't guard, and then I said something to him, and then it's but we competing. At the end of the day, you want to be able to play against the best players in the world and compete like that. That's what I live for. I love to compete.
When you said couldn't guard, what did you respond with?
Ask Kevin.
Let's go ahead and get this over with. It was a hard-fought game, man. We did what we needed to do. We got the win. You see how much better this is instead of them being in the locker room? You see how much better this is? Yeah, that's all we want, man.
You don't smell as nice.
That's what I'm saying. Y'all want to come in and smell us while we sweaty?
And a bunch of times we've gone sort of where we thought, okay, it's going to be Bam and Kel'el for extended periods. You started together. Coach went away from that. It was really productive today. What are your thoughts on why today especially was so productive?
Houston usually goes big lineups. So, one, we got to match that size, and they're the number one rebounding team in the league. So you understand you got to have size out there because they're crashing the glass. But also, big fella brought it today. You felt his energy from the jump, and Spo challenged him and walked through, and he responded. So we just need him to keep that consistent mindset of going out there and making his presence felt.
I know it's a lot of it based on matchups, but to go back to your partnership with Kel'el in the front court, how much do you hope to see that over these final 6 weeks of the regular season as you continue to kind of explore what you guys can do together?
I want big fella to be out there. I feel like he listens to me. Sometimes, he kind of ignores Spo. But I've banked so much equity with him. Throughout the summer, him getting up with me in the 6 a.m.s and through all the pickup we done played, he listens. He wants to learn. He wants to be out there. Obviously, he's got to earn his minutes. But when he's out there with me, I feel like he's definitely gets better.
Bam, I know this is not the first time we've seen it, but Houston deciding to put Şengün on Pelle early on. What do you think you guys got at Pelle both as a screener, and then him deciding not to just take the open threes, but to go right at Şengün as well?
Pelle's one of our Swiss Army knives. He can shoot, but also he can get downhill. He's a physical player, and when you have a physical player like that, use it to your advantage if they want to junk up the matchups. And he played a hell of a game today.
Maybe you mentioned the effort level in the last game, and did you kind of see definitely a change of pace in that area for this game, especially in clutch time?
Yeah, you see it. You know, not to get ahead of ourselves, but you know, a lot of times up 5 with 3 minutes to go, a lot of people would have thought we lost that game. So that's a step in the right direction. You know, I want us to take the next step in when we're up 5, 6, to constantly get those type of W's because they mean a lot at the end of the year when you're looking at seeding. So for us is, you know, how do we build off of this type of game where it was in the clutch? It was, you know, whatever was said out there about not having a closer, we got the job done.
Bam, what a emotional lift, if any, was the back and forth between Herro and KD in the first half? Kind of brought up the intensity of that game, it felt like.
I mean, it's competitors being competitors. That's what you want. I mean, it get like that when we play pickup. Y'all just don't see it. You know, that brings the best out of everybody when you have those type of matchups. When you have those type of competitors on the floor, you know that causes a great game of basketball, and you want to see it like that. You want guys to go at each other, and then obviously, best man wins or best team wins.
And just what you saw from Wiggins having that play in the fourth quarter after getting cut up and getting the stitches to come back.
Yeah, Wiggs is quiet, but he's tough. You know, he's battling. You know, you get assigned one of the greatest scorers in our league. You know, that's a big requirement for you to be locked in, be focused, and for him to go out and, you know, you want to get back in. That just shows he's a competitor.
All right, man. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Okay, as everyone else is in the locker room. Do not have tier 1. You can still go in.
Coach, obviously a quality win here against Houston, and can you just kind of talk about maybe the clutch time and what you saw there and what kind of led to this win?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, you know, that we've been talking about, these fourth quarters, and particularly, you know, in these moments of truth, the last 3 or 4 minutes of clutch games. You know, we've been dropping these games in our recent losses by just, you know, not at all providing any resistance. And so there's been these massive runs, you know, the opponents have been going on. And that just puts so much pressure, you know, on your offense. Tonight, we held them to 22 in the fourth, and then we don't see it as a coincidence. All of a sudden, guys start making plays on the other end. Just takes a little bit, you know, of the stress off. You know that, hey, we don't have to score on this possession. We're going to go down and, you know, we can bank on our defense. And guys just start to gain confidence, and that's what you saw. You know, some big plays down the stretch. Bam, obviously, was so pivotal, but Pelle was terrific, you know, in that fourth quarter. And different guys had opportunities to make plays, you know, offensively. Wiggs had that, you know, big offensive or defensive rebound that led to the and one going down the other end. You know, so it was encouraging to see us take that stand, you know, defensively, and really take that to heart. We have an opportunity to be a really good defensive team, you know, at any point in the game against any opponent. But we really have to commit to that wholeheartedly.
We've seen positive stretches from the Bam Kel'el front court recently. What did you like about what they provided tonight, and just what does it say that they were able to close together?
I mean, you know, Houston's a unique team because of that rugged physicality that they bring, and you know, rebounding is probably the number one key against that team. But we leaned into it for sure. It was really, both those guys were really good in our zone. You know, Kel'el, that was one of his better jobs in the zone, just communicating and you know, protecting in that inner circle. Even some of those tough floaters, you know, that they made, Kel'el was getting off the ground and making those, you know, not a super high percentage shot. And his rebounding obviously was key. Bam was super dynamic, you know, whether you play him at the center position in the zone or if you play him at the wing. At the wing, you know, he's elite. He's our best wing defender, you know, as well.
I know teams have been doing this, but they decided to put Sengun on Larsson early on. And what did you think of Pelle deciding to be aggressive basically from the start and going right into Sengun's chest?
Yeah, it started by him setting some screens. You know, we knew it coming into the game that, you know, Houston puts him on different guys. So for us, those guys will be Pelle and Jaime. We know we've been through it enough. It allows us to emotionally and mentally prepare, you know, for that. Pelle set some great screens. Then the ball was able to move, out of that. We're still able to get to our game. And then as the game went on, Pelle was able to, just put the ball on the floor and just be aggressive, in some of these one-on-one situations. Like I said, he was instrumental on both sides of the floor. Aggressive offensively, but he and Wiggs were terrific at the top of the zone against Durant. I felt like that was one of the better defensive games you can put forth against, an iconic scorer, and he still ends up with 32. Take that with you, Wiggs. All right, thank you.
Thank you.